The Prime Minister has announced what he's called a game-changing investment into defence today. Keir Starmer has confirmed the government will spend an additional £15 billion on defence by reprioritising spending across government. It follows months of wrangling over investment plans, which saw both the Defence Secretary and Armed Forces Minister resign. Let's hear some of what Sir Keir said a short time ago.
It is funded by reallocating spending from across government departments, reallocating capital budgets by 1 penny in every pound, while still maintaining public investment at the highest sustained levels since the 1970s. It means departments making better use of assets, like underused land. And it means those departments with the largest capital budgets contributing more. Therefore, some capital projects, for example on roads and energy, which are important but not immediately vital, will no longer go ahead as planned. But this is about taking the necessary choices, the right choices, to protect our nation. It is because we've taken these hard-edged decisions that we are able to increase our spending on defence. Now, we are already delivering the biggest sustained increase in defence spending since the 1980s. £270 billion over the spending review period. And I can announce today that under the Defence Investment Plan, we are increasing this by a further £15 billion, setting a new record of spending almost £300 billion over the next 4 years to back our armed forces and strengthen our national security.
Well, the Prime Minister also warned the armed forces that the extra money they're getting should be used wisely and not wasted.
I know that in the past, defence spending has sometimes been seen as a bottomless pit. People see the money going in, but they don't feel the benefits. So this time must be different. We can't just spend more, we've got to spend better. That includes driving real reforms within the Ministry of Defence to get greater value from our investment, accelerating innovation and procurement, and reducing non-military spending, for example, on civil service staff.
Our political editor, Beth Rigby, joins us now. Beth, you were in the room with Sir Keir as he made these announcements. It's a large sum of money, but it's still not as much as the defence sector, the defence bosses had all hoped for.
That's right. It's not as much as many defence bosses asked for. It's not as much as John Healey, the former Defence Secretary who resigned over this defence investment plan, wanted. But it is more than originally was going to be put to defence at the time John Healey resigned. The Prime Minister announcing an additional £15 billion into defence. Today it had been running at £13.5 billion, and he made a point there of saying it was his new Defence Secretary, Dan Jarvis, who had argued for more funding and made this, as he put it, a sharper settlement. But look, in the big picture of all this, this is a Prime Minister that in less than 3 weeks will be leaving number 10, and he clearly is staking his legacy on this defence investment plan, and it was very important for him and his team to get this across the line before he leaves office, probably on July the 20th, with Andy Burnham likely to become, well, almost certainly to become the next Prime Minister. And he's, of course, got this massive NATO summit next week. So he goes to NATO now with the defence plan. It's a year late. He said in that it was a big investment. He said that there is now a trajectory to reach that new commitment of NATO defence spending 3% of national GDP in the next Parliament, although no specific date today. And he made the announcement there that the country will get to 2.7% of GDP being spent on defence by 2028 to 9, so bringing that target forward. But he also did acknowledge that there was more to do. He said it would be for his successor to increase defence spend, and he made that quite clear in his speech that he expected whoever his successor was to grow on this, build on this and increase defence spending. I think also in that speech he took a veiled dig at Andy Burnham because he talked about this idea of borrowing more to invest in defence bonds, as they put it. The Prime Minister was clear in his speech. He said more borrowing just increases interest rates. He said these are hard decisions that you have to take, that you can't shy away from. And he really has been wrangling with Defence Department, with the Treasury for months over this defence investment plan. But I think really this speech was a Prime Minister trying to set out a legacy. He made an argument about how the two coalitions, one around the coalition of the willing around Ukraine, the other one around supporting the opening of the Strait of Hormuz, they were both driven by the UK, with France leading in Europe, and he said that he wanted to leave a legacy of a more European NATO. So in my question to him, I asked him about how he saw this legacy building that he'd begun and what he thought that his successor would need to do. Have a listen to what he said. From the beginning of your premiership, you have prioritised Britain's role on the world stage, but your defence plan is a year late. It cost you your defence secretary and has no timetable for meeting the new NATO commitment. By getting it across the line, you have made a start to your legacy on defence. But do you acknowledge that it will be your successor who will need to secure it? And has Andy Burnham given you assurances that he will increase defence funding in the next spending review? Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Beth. Let me just put it in this way. I think a test of any Prime Minister is whether they leave the country in a better state than they found it. And if you look at our country, that is undoubtedly a case on the economy, undoubtedly a case on public services, in particular the NHS, but also undoubtedly a case on defence and security and international leadership. We are in a much better state now than we were when we took over 2 years ago. And that isn't just measured in the amount of money we're putting into defence, the record investment that went in as a result of the announcement I made last year, the addition to that today, but also the fact that other countries now look to the United Kingdom as a leader on defence and security. We're the first to be consulted. We are the country that others want to work with. And I'm proud of that. We do leave the country in a better state. As for the future, I have no doubt that all Labour governments will remain that #1 commitment to our defence and security. Labour governments have always done that and always will do that, and I'm absolutely certain, therefore, that this is a platform on which whoever comes after me can build, and I'm proud that it is, and I will do everything within my power to make sure that any transition is orderly and that we go from strength to strength, and that is what I'm endeavouring to do.
So look, the Prime Minister there talking in quite expansive way there about his legacy, not just defence and international leadership. He talked about public services and the strength of the economy. But the headline here is increasing defence spending to 2.7% of GDP by 2027 to 2028. It will be for the next Prime Minister to get to that new NATO target. And that is a big, hefty increase in spending. And you saw a Prime Minister there, an outgoing Prime Minister, laying down the gauntlet to his successor. And it has been so torturous for Keir Starmer to even get to this point of an additional 15 billion, which the defence services and lots of defence experts say is not enough. And Andy Burnham is now coming in. And is defence going to be his priority? The Prime Minister there saying it absolutely must. He started this journey and clearly expects Andy Burnham to finish it. It will be just one of the big problems and challenges that Andy Burnham will have in the in-tray when he likely becomes the Prime Minister later this month.
Beth, joining us live from Berkshire. Good to see you. Thank you so much.